Alright, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 rules that you need to follow if you want to win more games in Rainbow Six Siege. This is going to go for both attacking and defending side. I'm not going to just pick one and go for one, like 5 tips on one side. I'm going to do both of them in the same video, just so that I can give you more well-rounded advice. So the first advice that I want to give you, this more so does go for attack, but you can do the same thing on defense as well, and it's to capitalize on low-risk plays. So as you can see right now, I'm playing Thermite, and I'm going to use Clubhouse CCTV bomb site as an example. So generally on CC, there's a few different attack routes you can go. One of them is to breach the CC wall and go for the garage, but I see a lot of people try and take garage before they breach the wall, and breaching the outside wall on CC is such a low risk, high reward play that you need to be doing it instantly. Like the second you spawn in, check for spawn peaks and run straight to the CC breach with you and your Thatcher, or you and some kind of breach like EMP sort of gadget player. And you want to get this wall open as fast as you can. The reason why you're doing this is because when you're doing this, like, realistically, what can stop you from breaching this wall other than like a bandit trick, which you can get someone on the CC window, or you can have an EMPs to try and stop that and to fight against it. Other than the likes of a bandit trick, what can stop you from breaching this wall? It's generally just a run out from the garage door, or maybe someone jumps out of Adam and tries to C4 over. But those are both counterable with claymores. All you need to do is get someone with claymores, put a claymore on both of them windows and doors, and then you're pretty much free to just breach this wall instantly. And the reason why you want to do this is because once you have this breach open, from like the rappel outside of the breach here, you can stop anybody crossing over into CC that might want to stop you from pushing garage, and it'll isolate the player in garage who will be like playing around like 90 or on the different rafter angles. He can play anybody along these angles, so it's kind of hard just to phase check him and try and kill him from the garage door, or like open the garage breach and try and crouch in and kill him. So you want to have a coordinated effort. You want to breach the CC wall, which is a free breach, a low risk play, which will help you from protecting anybody pushing CC to try and peek through the garage window, or maybe through the head holes. Obviously they can still peek through the head holes if they peek from like the radio door here, or maybe through like holes in the wall, or holes on the wall and cache, just peek through the red holes up the stairs. But that's something you have to figure out when you're going in up the stairs, not when you're trying to kill the guy in rafters. So making sure you have this breach open first. This goes on other maps as well. There's other maps. The same thing can be applied on the Jacuzzi breach. It's a pretty low risk breach. The only thing you have to worry about on Jacuzzi breach is someone peeking through the dirt tunnel outside and breaking a hole in the dirt tunnel, like the soft walls, to try and peek on the balcony. But for the most part, once you get this Jacuzzi breach open, you can cut off any rotations in the hallway. You can cut off any rotation through sight. You may be able to get a free pick on somebody that's playing aggressive on the breach. Generally, just low risk breaches, like the outside breaches on maps. If they're important to the site that you want to attack, you want to get them open as fast as you can, because the low risk and the high reward, because it'll cut off angles, it'll cut off rotations. This could make somebody stuck in logic, or well, they'll have to go through like different rotates over here, or through a rotate over here. But for the most part, they can't use this rotation through top main anymore. They can't go down main. Nobody can go down main and try and flank. Or if somebody's off site, they want to rotate back up to site, they can't come up main anymore because you have the breach open here. Just a low risk play that will make it so much easier to attack. An example of a low risk play on defense would be going for something like a vertical C4. I'm going to talk more about secondary gadgets in a second though, so make sure you keep watching. Now the next thing I want to talk about is if you're down in man count, so the number of the enemy players is more than the number of your players on your team, then you want to start playing aggressive. I don't care if you're a passive player, I don't care if you're like already an aggressive player. If the man count goes against your favour, generally you will lose that round by default. So what you want to do is you want to do everything in your power to bring that back to winnable by taking fights and making plays. In the process of like losing the man count, the enemies are progressing in the round, they're going to get closer to a point of executing. And if you get to like a 5v2, they pretty much got a free execute on site. So if you just sit still and let them execute, let's say I'm defending cache again, and I'm just kind of chilling behind the cache box, trying not to die, holding angles. I'm trying not to die because I know that they've killed 3 of my teammates already. They can be progressing up garage, they probably have garage by now, they're probably getting ready to run in the breach and plant. And realistically, other than like maybe one C4 that you might have, you can't really do much against that. You need to start thinking of players to make the man count back. Let's say someone's on CC window. Let's start thinking about maybe jumping out on them, or maybe peeking from the con window to try and fight them. Or let's start thinking about maybe trying to Even peeking like the garage holes if someone's in garage, just trying to get some kind of aggressive play. If you know garage, like the garage players far back on rafters, you may be able to get a lucky swing on the breach and get a kill there, rather than just sitting tight and waiting for the round to end. At that point, you're basically just saying, like, go on, go in, just win the round, I'll let you. It's basically what you're saying by not doing anything. In the rounds where you have lower man count, like let's say your teammate tried to spawn peek and died, or let's say your teammate got spawn peeked as an attacker, you have to do something to bring that man count back as fast as you can, because the enemies will take that lead and run away with it, and you can't just let them. You can't just, like, you have to be active in playing. You can't just be passive and sort of waiting for the round to finish. If you want to win more games, you need to be thinking about man count and thinking about, okay, we've lost a player here. How do I bring this back? How do I get a pick? Where can I get a pick? And then once you start doing that and you start getting them picks, it'll make it so much easier to win rounds, because you'll start realizing, okay, I need to play aggressive here. Or you might even go like, okay, we've got man count. I need to start playing passive now, because we don't need any more kills. We don't need to risk losing our life to win one more gunfight, because if we just sit still, if as a defender, if you have a 5v2 and there's 2 attackers left, what are they going to do? How are they going to push? They really can't push into a bomb site with 5 people in, so they have to try and isolate picks. If you go aggressive on these rounds where you have the man count, then it gives them an opportunity for a pick to isolate a pick and get a 1v1 and make it back closer to a fair man count. So you just want to make sure that if you have the man count advantage, you're playing passive, and if you don't have the man count advantage, you're playing aggressive. If that makes sense. So yeah, on to the next tip. So the next tip I'm going to give you is all about secondary gadgets. Now, every single operator in Siege has some kind of secondary gadget. This could be on attack, it could be flashbangs, breaching charges, claymores. On defense, it could be impact grenades, C4s. You know what the secondary gadgets are. I'm not going to list them out for you. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing these, because I see so many people that'll play on attack. There'll be a frag, like they'll be trying to take frags, they'll be trying to take picks, but they're not making use of the gadgets, and then they end up dying with 2 flashbangs in the pocket. When realistically, if you're trying to take a fight, you know that you could die in this fight. Let's say I'm trying to clear someone out of fucking bathroom here. If I know somebody's in there, there's 2 ways I can go about it. I can either just try and face check all the angles and try and peek it like that, or if I know somebody's in there, instead of face checking, I can just start throwing flashbangs around. Just start throwing flashbangs in the room, and now no matter where they are in the room, they're full blind. You can just go in and collect, and it'll give you like around about 3 seconds just to get that freebie on them while they stick flashbang or trying to collect themselves after being flashbanged. So make sure if you have flashbangs, use them and follow up on them. Like, use them and then push in off them. Or the same goes for breaching charges as well. I see a lot of people just either using breaching charges just to hot breach windows, or just to breach like random walls, where you could be using breaching gadgets, like breaching charges, as vertical. Or I could say you're attacking the basement on Clubhouse, for an example. You could be using a breaching charge rather than just using it on random walls or random windows. You can just start breaching the floor in kitchen, for example. Just start using the breaching charges somewhere, so that you have them used and you're not like wasting them on nothing. This will mean that, like, let's say you have a soft breacher like a buck or a sledge, but they get spawn beaked. Now you have no soft breach abilities, but you've got breaching charges in your pocket. Now you do have soft breach abilities. Now you can use this to create the vertical rather than the buck or the sledge having to rely on them. So that's just a little thing that you need to think about. Now, when it comes to defending secondary gadgets, the biggest thing I see wasted is C4s. Every time I'm playing, I'll see at least 1 C4 in a game being wasted on nothing. You need to make sure that if you have C4s, you either do 2 things with them. You either save them for the plant, to deny the plant, because a C4 is an instant kill on the planter and an instant plant denial. Or you use them off info. Sorry, I'm not swearing at you. You use them off info from Valcams to try and get a freebie in the round. Let's say you're defending basement again on Clubhouse. You can put a Valcam in kitchen, or you can put some kind of bulletproof camera in kitchen off like a teammate, or some kind of gadget in kitchen that'll have information, which you can then use to place a C4. And then the best way to do this is to place a C4 on the floor below. Like, so like I'm in basement, let's assume I'm in basement, I place a C4 on the floor, and then you just ping where it is. Now I know there's a C4 here. When I go on the camera, if I see anybody run over that area, it's a freebie for us. So just make sure you're doing stuff like that. Obviously, you don't need to ping it if you know where the floor is, if you know what part of the floor is what. But if you're not sure, then just simply just put the C4 on the roof, then ping the C4, and then go on the camera and you'll see exactly where the C4 is, and you'll be able to get a freebie off that instantly. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the secondary gadgets and giving you advice on how you can use them better. If you would like a video on sort of something like that, then I'm more than happy to do that in future. Just comment down below if that's what you want to see. But I will talk about one more gadget, which is the impact grenades. So when you have impact grenades in your pocket, you have instantly got 2 forms of breach denial. You can just instantly, as soon as you see them breaching something, for the most part, on most sites, on most maps, there'll be at least one important wall to impact trick. And once you've realized where these are, you can just use your impact grenades to have an instant form of breach denial without having to worry about like bandits or things like that, or arcades or tuberous. You can literally just get impacts, place them let's use this wall here. So if we breach above the wall here, above the wall there's a little bit of a crack where the reinforcement won't be, and then you just impact trick over the top of the wall and try and hit the metal beam there, and it should kill the stuff on the wall. Obviously the impact grenades have been nerfed a little bit over time so that they're not as strong as the ones were, but for the most part it will help you to stop walls from being opened, or at least mess up the attacker's time in opening walls. If it's like a Warner Bells, it might destroy most of them, if not all of them. So just think about that. Or if, like, let's say an ace has breached one part of the thing, before the second one goes off, you can impact the side of the breach, like where the ace hole has gone off already, and it will kill the second part of the breach, like the second part of the ace charge, which means that instead of a movable, like a rotatable hole, it's just a peak hole. So if you do that on something like the CC breach, it'll mean that they can't run in and can't go for the plant. They can't like run here and try and go for a plant here. They have to just use it as a peak hole, and then if you're smart and you don't peak that hole, then it's basically a useless breach for the enemies. So that's just something to think about with secondary gadgets. Alright, so I've switched over to the defense side for the next couple of tips. Both of these tips can be utilized on attack as well as defense, just like the other ones can. But I'm on defense side just to give you an example of that's not on attack side. So the next tip I want to give you is, if you're a support player, make sure that when you're on site in the quiet times, you're doing something to help the team. Now, for the most part, support players, for like the early round, like the first like 2 minutes of the round, you basically don't have much you need to do. After you've set up the site and you're ready for the attackers execute, you're kind of just waiting around, twiddling your thumbs. And in this kind of time, I'll see a lot of people either just go on TikTok, or they'll just not pay attention and they'll just start running around site shooting at things, like just doing shit like this. Whereas if you're on a support role, you should be supporting your team. You should be sitting in a safe position, let's just say behind these boxes here. You should be in a safe position, just sitting on cams, flicking through, giving information to your team. So I'll be like, okay, there's nobody in garage is clear. There's shit like that. You need to be doing something to help your team in these quiet times, rather than just sitting, spinning around doing 360s, like spamming your lean keys. Do something to help your team. What you want to do though is, if you're on cameras, make sure that you're given adequate information as well. You don't need to be like, okay, the bar behind the bar in the bar is clear, there's nobody there, it's very clear. As you can hear, that's very cluttered comms. If someone's trying to listen for sound, you're sitting there going, you're giving them your life story about how there's a motorbike sitting on a bar. It's not going to be adequate information for the round. You need to be like, you need to look at where your teammates are playing and go on a camera that would help them. Let's say I've got a garage, a Roma playing like in CC. I'll go on the garage cam, because it's possible for an attacker to spawn kennels and come over to the garage and try and come in through garage and try and go maybe down oil pit, or maybe down into lounge. So, or even try and kill the flanker by going up garage rafters. So I'll be like, okay, I'm on your garage cam, I'm watching it. Just simple. Or not even all that, you need to just be like, okay, I've got your garage cam. Now the defender that's roaming in CC knows that he doesn't have to care so much about garage because you're watching it and you've got that. But what you also need to do as well is be like, okay, I'm off the garage cam now, I'm not watching it, just so they know, okay, and shit, now I need to worry about that again. It takes a bit of a load off your teammates' heads to be like, okay, he's got that for me, I don't have to worry about that. Oh wait, now he doesn't have that, I need to worry about that. So just make sure when you're on cameras, if you're a support player and you're watching cameras for your team, that you give adequate information. Be like, okay, garage clear, I'm off cams now, I'm gonna go do something else, like I need an impact trick. But you don't have to say that, but if you need to get off cameras to do something, just be like, okay, I'm going off cams now, be careful. Like stuff like that. And when you see somebody on the camera as well, don't be like, okay, he's stepped 5 times into garage, he's walking up, he's on floor, he's on stair number 7.5. You need to be like, ace garage, coming up rafters. Or like if he's not that much of a threat, let's say your teammate's like deep in cash or something, he's gonna be a threat eventually, but right now he's not that much of a threat, so you can just be like, there's an ace in garage. But once he starts getting to the garage window towards the CC window, then you need to start being like, then you need to start ramping up the call out and be like, okay, he's jumping through CC, be careful, he's coming for you. Like something like that, so your teammate knows about the urgency of the information, rather than, I'll see some people that live will be like, always too much on the call outs, or always not enough. So there'll be one guy that's like, coming up garage stairs, right now, coming up, ah! Like just screaming down the call outs, when realistically your teammate's all the way back in cash. He's not going to care about the guy that's walking up rafters very slowly. Like, it's no threat to him at this current point in time. Whereas the other side of it is, if someone's going through CC window into CC from garage, and you're watching the garage cam and your teammate's in cash, you're like, he's vaulted into CC now. He's in CC. Like, it doesn't provide urgency. If I hear that call out, I'm thinking, okay, like, I'm not prioritizing that call out, because it doesn't sound that, like, it doesn't sound like it's that much of an issue compared to someone that may be like, he's vaulting through CC, he's coming in, be careful. Like, I mean, that's not exactly a good call out, because I'm saying loads of filler words that don't really matter, but as long as you provide the urgency of the information to your teammate that needs that urgency, then it's a good call out. So just keep that in mind when you're playing support roles and you're on cameras on site. Now, the final tip that I want to talk about is, I've talked about this tip before, but it's such a huge one, and it's a big rule that you need to follow when you're playing games, and it's to never take a fair gunfight. So there's 2 points about this. The first, alright, so I've talked about this tip a little bit before, but it's a very important rule to follow when you're playing ranked if you want to win more games, and it's to never take a fair gunfight. Now, there's 2 sides of this. The first side is that every gunfight you initiate, you need to make sure that you're initiating fights that, like, well, by that I mean like fights that you're starting. If you're swinging somebody, if you're picking something, you need to make sure that you have the advantage in that fight that you're swinging. Let's say an attacker's holding this angle with an ACOG, an attacker's playing here with an ACOG. You're a defender with a fucking Valk MPX and a hollow, and you're thinking, ooh, let me just swing him. Like, that's not a favourable gunfight for you. Maybe you might know where he is, you might be able to pre-fire, but it's so hard to get like perfect pre-fires every time. So what you want to do is you need to make sure you have some kind of advantage in that gunfight, whether it be peeking with a teammate. Let's coordinate with a teammate that might be in church to go into moto so he can swing here while you swing. So at the worst case scenario, you get a refrag, which a refrag on the defender side is probably more favourable than a refrag on the attacker side. Like a 1-for-1 trade, I mean. Because as a defender, you just need to chill on site, whereas as an attacker, you need to figure out how to push into a site full of defenders with one less person and one less utility. As a defender, you've probably already placed utility. So just bear that in mind. And another thing you can do as well is use utility to do this. So let's say somebody's pushing in blue, they're kind of just chilling behind here now. If I have a Valcam in blue, let's just say I have one here. It's not a good Valcam spot, just putting it for example. I can be like on site somewhere, and now I know, okay, he's in blue, he's exactly right there on ping. From this information, I can do things like start trying to wall bang, or start trying to like peek through holes that you might have in this wall. But I know exactly where to aim because I know where the information is, and because I have the camera. Another way you can do this as well is by using your secondary gadgets, as I was talking about before, to create some kind of distraction or some kind of pressure for the enemy. So like, let's use this example of somebody sitting down here again. Let's say you have the head holes in this church wall. Rather than just swinging it and be like, okay, I'm trying to take a one here, you can do things like just start blowing up a C4 or something, like just try and throw a C4 through first, safely. Like, try and safely throw a C4 through so that it distracts him or moves him out of position. If I throw a C4 and it lands at the bottom of these stairs and he's standing right there, he's either dead if he doesn't move. If he keeps holding this angle, he's just dead. If he keeps holding these angles, he's just gone. So he needs to move back, which gives you time to rush up the hallway and take this aggressive position, where when he comes back, you can just, like, when you hear the sound of him come back down the stairs, you just swing it for a freebie. It's just stuff like that that you need to think about. How do you make a gunfight more favourable for you? Alright, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like. I will leave some more tip videos in the description down below if you want to click in the description box and click on another tip video that you may want to see if you want more advice. So yeah, if you enjoyed, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.